I used to be obsessed with miniature painting videos on YouTube. There was something hypnotic about watching tiny worlds come to life under steady hands. Back in 2013, one channel stood out: Chimera Miniatures. Unlike most creators, the host, who never revealed their name or face, focused exclusively on strange, unsettling miniatures. Not the typical knights, wizards, or sci-fi soldiers. Chimera's models were grotesque amalgamations, twisted humanoid figures with too many limbs, melting faces, and spindly claws reaching outward as if to escape their tiny bases. They were disturbing, but their craftsmanship was undeniable. I couldn't look away. The channel had this bizarre production style. Videos always opened with a static shot of a workbench cluttered with jars of paint, half-finished miniatures, and tools. A distorted voice narrated the process, explaining techniques in unsettling detail, like how to blend paint to mimic the look of flayed skin, or sculpt tiny maggots out of green stuff. The background music was a droning hum, almost imperceptible at first, but the longer you watched, the more it burrowed into your skull. One thing that always stood out to me was the outro figure. At the end of each video, the host would pan the camera over to a specific miniature sitting on a small black pedestal. It was an indiscernibly hideous thing, something like a flayed chimera, part lion, part goat, part serpent, all melded into a single horrifying entity. Every video ended with a close-up of this figure and the same words from the distorted voice. Remember, every piece has a story, and every story deserves an audience. I didn't think much of it at first. It was just edgy branding, right? But then things started getting weird. One day, I decided to look deeper into the channel. For some reason, Chimera Miniatures had almost no social media presence. No Instagram, no Facebook, no links to a Patreon, just a YouTube channel. Even stranger, despite having hundreds of thousands of views per video, there were barely any comments. The ones that did appear were oddly cryptic, with messages like, "The new piece resonates perfectly. Thank you." I see them now. They're clearer than ever. Please, just one more piece. Curiosity got the better of me, so I started digging. I reverse searched some of the miniature designs, hoping to find their origins. Nothing. Not a single one of the grotesque creations had a traceable source. It was as if the host had invented them from scratch, or from somewhere else. Then I found something chilling. An old Reddit thread from a now deleted account claimed to have identified the outro figure in Chimera Miniatures. According to the user, it bore an uncanny resemblance to an artifact known as the Maw of Giallo, a supposedly cursed statuette that had been confiscated from an Italian cult in the late 1800s. The cult had believed that the figure could capture souls, binding them into the vessel to serve an eternal master. I wanted to laugh it off as a ridiculous conspiracy, but that night I had a dream. In it, I was sitting at my desk, painting a miniature. My hands moved on their own, sculpting and painting something I couldn't quite see. When I finally looked down, it was the outro figure. Its eyes, tiny and black, shifted to meet mine. I woke up gasping, the hum from the videos echoing in my head. A week later, Chimera Miniatures uploaded what would be its final video. It was called The Last Piece. The video was different this time. No tutorial, no process, just the outro figure sitting in the center of the screen. For a full 5 minutes, the camera slowly zoomed in as the droning hum grew louder and louder. At the end, the distorted voice whispered, "It is complete. The audience is chosen. Thank you for your stories." The video cut to black. The channel disappeared the next day. At first, I thought it was just some bizarre publicity stunt. But then I started hearing about people who had been avid fans of Chimera Miniatures going missing. The Reddit user who linked the outro figure to the Maw of Giallo? Gone. A miniature painting YouTuber who had mentioned Chimera in a review video? Vanished. And then there were the emails. A week after the channel went dark, I received an email with no subject line. The sender's address was a string of random numbers and letters. The body of the email simply read, "You are part of the audience. Tell your story well." Attached was a single image, the outro figure, but different. Its tiny mouth was open now, and what looked like a human face stared out from within, screaming silently. I smashed my laptop and stopped painting miniatures altogether. For a while, I thought that was the end of it. But then, in 2021, a new channel appeared under the same name, Chimera Miniatures. This one was entirely different, hosted by a man named Mr. Sean. It focused on lost media, neckbeards, incel culture, AITA stories, and original AI-generated songs. Sometimes Sean mentioned his business making custom miniatures, but he never demonstrated his craft on camera. His channel became wildly popular, with no connection, at least outwardly, to the old Chimera Miniatures. At first, I believed it was a coincidence, but then, in one video, I noticed a small black pedestal tucked in the corner of Sean's desk. It was empty, or so it seemed. When I paused the video and zoomed in, I saw it. A faint outline, like a shadow, burned into the wood. The shape was unmistakable. It was the outro figure. I realized then that this new Chimera Miniatures wasn't just a coincidence. It was a deliberate attempt to bury the memory of the original channel, to smother its dark legacy under layers of quirky, harmless content. But the outro figure isn't gone. It's waiting. And when the hum starts in the dead of night, I know it's still choosing its next audience.